Welcome to the Holy Shit, I'm Healing podcast, powered by Whispers Bridge. Raw talks on recovery, spirituality, and becoming someone you actually like.
Series 2, The Wake Up Calls. Episode 2, Living in the Madness, Watching It All Unravel. What does it look like when life unravels piece by piece? In this episode, we open up about what it was like to live inside the madness of addiction and the unmanageability of the everyday person, the chaos, the denial, and the slow progression that consumed everything around us. This is the raw truth of how it felt from the inside, before the wake-up calls that forced us to see it all for what it was. Hey guys, I'm Casina.
Hey, it's Tasia.
Hey, it's Trisha.
And this episode, we are so excited for it. Not really. It's going to be dark and sad.
Just a heads up.
Just a disclaimer.
Warning.
Be aware. It gets dark. Last week, we got to do really funny stories of our drinking days and, you know, what it was like really before our addiction started to kick off. And now we really want to dive into, like, the thick of it, what it was like once our addiction started to take off. And for Tasia not being an addiction, she has a really amazing perspective because she gets to see from a different perspective what it looked like, right, living with somebody with addiction, but also the unmanageability within her own life, trying to keep herself balanced with regardless of the chaos that was going on around her and, you know, that wellness, that self-care. So a lot of this stuff does pertain, you know, for the everyday normal person or the person who thinks they might have addiction or the ones who really know, you know, there's definitely a problem. So to dive right into, you know, the day in the life, because addiction for me, and usually it's not this, it doesn't crash in, you know, it slowly seeps its way into your day to day. And I really want to hone in on what those day to days were like. So I'll kick it off with, you know, a day in the life of Casina, right? There was, before I was drinking, super uncomfortable, dreaded everything, not a happy person, right? From like those early teen years. Then it went into, oh my God, I discovered my first drink. Now it was, I could get through anything in the days because I knew I was going to drink on the weekends. And then as it progressed, my day to day was, I had the rules of what alcoholic was. It was a bum under the bridge. It was a man. You definitely drank in the morning. You know, there was these certain things. So my day-to-days, I really tried to keep it away from anything that reflected that. Like, I really tried. So I didn't let myself drink in the morning. I didn't do certain things. But my day-to-days when I was at my worst was the first 3, 4, 5 hours were absolutely miserable. I felt like shit. Hungover, just depression, not a will to live, like just dark, you know, like just dark. I dreaded everything that was to come. And then it would be gearing up for whatever it was I had to do, whether it was work or, you know, school or whatever. And then I started to have to infuse once I was out, right? Once I'm out of my room or my house, then it's like I'm out and I could do whatever now. I'm not drinking by myself in my bedroom at 7 a.m., you know? So my day to day went, as soon as I was out of the house, then it was okay. Now, how can I do this? I was usually always altered on something. If I wasn't drunk, I was high. If I wasn't high, I was drunk. You know, there was always, it got to a point where there was very few days where I wasn't pretty fucked up on something, you know? And it would just progressively get more and almost like less control as the day went on. You know, at first it would be like, all right, I'm at work. I worked in this accounting office in Manhasset. It was like an hour and a half drive all the way there. Miserable. Why am I in a desk and doing numbers? Those are two things, if anyone knows me, that's not for me, you know? Like, what? Like, why are you there? But there I was, you know? But it was amazing. It was one of my favorite jobs because we had liquid lunches. We would go to the restaurant and I would get like 3 or 4 martinis, come back, I'd be whacked, you know, doing my job. They're trying to give me coffee to make sure like I could drive home that hour and a half on the way home. drunk driving, weaving in and out of rush hour traffic, getting pulled over by a cop who like comes racing right up next to me and going, "What the fuck?" And I'm just like, I get pulled over, and this is on like a Tuesday at like 5:15, like where I had the gift of gab, thank God, or it was a curse, really. But it was, oh my God, it's just the tears, and I'm so sorry I left my one job late, and I have to race to my second job, and I'm so worried because if I'm late again, I'm gonna get fired, and then and it was that whole dramatic sob story of how my life is so bad, and and then it would be, now it's on. Now I'm wasted. Now I'm home from work, and then it would just amp up from there. Now there was no sort of control. There was no sort of anything. It was, where are we going? What day of the week is it? And there had to be a reason why I was going out, because again, alcoholic, you don't just, so I made sure it was like wing night Wednesday, or it was like, whatever theme or idea in my brain, it was like, okay, but you can drink because people drink when they go and have wings and watch TV at a bar. Like, and that's really what my day to day was control, barely hanging on, and sheer chaos is the best way I could sum it up. So, Tazia, as far as for you, what was like a normal day in the life for somebody who had that going on all around her and was still trying to be centered and well, and like the demons within you of trying to balance, like not letting that be so destructive? What was it like for you? Like a typical day?
Well, I definitely remember meeting up with you sometimes for liquid lunches, which didn't help the situation. Yeah, that was fun. But besides that, I don't know. I noticed my everyday, I would probably go and start my day dreading that I had to go to work. I think like every normal human on earth. And then when I got there, counted down the hours until I got out. And then it was pretty much the same. It was like, game on. What day is it? What's where? Where's the party? Let's go. But then when I got there, no holds barred, darts, games, like drinking the whole night. And then I get home and then I do it all over again the next day. And then the next day. And then to the point where I'm resting on Saturday because I've been out every single night. It started to really grab my attention of like, am I running from something? So then I like started to kind of think about like, oh, am I hiding something? Do I not want to look at something? Because I'm the type of person where if something's off, I will very specifically go in and try to get the answer because I don't like how my life is operating. Because I don't like being hungover and I don't like being out of control and I don't like being nasty. And it was all three of those. And I don't know why nasty always came with me drinking.
Whiskey.
Yeah,
Whiskey.
man. Fucking whiskey every time. But yeah, so I didn't like how that eventually it was becoming my life. Resting on Saturdays. Like, who the fuck does that? Like nobody. So I don't know. I didn't like how it was, and then I started to like go in and willingly see my crap that I didn't want to look at. So yeah, that was.
Which is fascinating that you were able, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it
I'm
baffling?
like, oh,
How the fuck
God,
did you
just
do
stop?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I just like stop?
Well, you don't
to
have
look?
addiction.
Yeah.
So for us, we're like, what? Like
Well,
we
okay.
felt similar, but then we doubled down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we ran faster and did more and tried to figure out. Like
I think
it's cool that you have that normalcy where you identify with the normal everyday person who has life stressors and these things. And you got to see like, okay, well, these certain outlets, even though it's not catastrophic, right? And it's not going to end where ours ends, it still was taking away from who you were and what you wanted to be.
Yeah, I noticed my attitude, my moods throughout the days. While I was in all that, I was becoming more irritable. I, God forbid you looked at me wrong. I would snap. And I noticed it was taking a really negative effect on my personality and I didn't like who I was becoming. So that's when I kind of realized of like, all right, let me stop this semi-fun ride and then kind of evaluate what isn't working And I think I was able to do that because I meditating all those years, like I always knew I was going to be okay, even when I looked at the dark and the uglies, and it was going to be okay. So it does. It takes a lot of bravery and courage to get into that. And I'm not going to say I just fucking jumped in and be like, oh, that's my ugly.
Yeah.
Like, no. It took me like a long time to be like, all right, show me a little bit at a time so I can handle this. And then let me figure out the healing process to get through it and whatever. So it wasn't overnight, but it, I gave myself enough time to build up the courage with the intention of wanting to heal. And then with like my third eye being, I guess, more open, I was able to see the signs as they came in more easily.
I mean, when you were saying like the third eye and seeing things, but did you also see things from her too? Like how she was?
I tried to stay very far away.
You did.
I did, honestly. I didn't like anything that you were doing to the extent that you were doing it and you weren't listening at all to any of my advice. And it was frustrating. I would say it was frustrating. And it, like, I couldn't get your attention. Like I even shook you with, your shirt, like looked at me, hear me. Like it wasn't getting through. I was talking to a wall. It was wild.
And I'm like, la 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 la.
I can't hear you, sister.
Yeah, man. So I like
Go back to your dumpster.
Yeah.
I'm gonna light that shit on fire, your dumpster.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no,
if
no,
you
no.
didn't see our first episode, Tasia was born and put in a
Oh,
dumpster,
I was not.
according to my memory. All right, awesome.
but
All right,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
so steer clear your own little demons, and like you saw there was a pattern. Trish, what was your day-to-day like for you when you started to really be in the addiction? Because I will never forget last episode's story. I can't see you in any other way, in such a good way. But I am excited to know how it went from that to then the real bad to then the light. So let's talk about like the real bad right now. Like how was your life?
Life in the teenage years, that's when everything was very difficult. And I remember, man, I loved ecstasy. That was my jam.
Yep.
And I remember taking it for the first time. And then when you start to come down, I want more. I wanted more. I didn't want it to end. And then I would be like smoking weed and let me drink, just to get that high again. And then when we did it again, one wasn't enough anymore. And I remember the next morning, I had like a drafting table where I did all my artwork and trying to like get the, from when we like crunched it to snort it. And I'm like on the drafting board, trying to like gumming it, trying to.
Well, it's just charcoal chalk from.
Yeah, from like pastels and everything,
You're like,
Trish,
bitch, that's pencil shavings. It's not weed, dude.
I don't care. It's getting me high. But that crazy.
Like, why is your mouth orange?
But that insanity of wanting to feel that again.
Mhm.
And that next morning, and I remember not having any money and finding cans and bottles just to go, deposit them so I can get money, so I can get more drugs and more alcohol. And I just couldn't believe, why am I the only one out of my friends that's doing this? I didn't understand. So everything just progressed as I got older. There was always a reason to drink. I remember like Sunday nights going to the strip bar, like it's fucking Sunday. What are we doing at a strip bar and seeing these titties? Like, I don't understand, but here I am. I didn't get it, but it was just anything to get out of, like ditto with you, anything to get out of the house, to drink, And then just like towards the end, things started to get really, really dark. There was just a morning of just being hungover and feeling so disgusted with myself and looking at myself in the mirror, puffy, gross, stomach problems, and just if you didn't see the last episode, I don't know what to tell you with that, but just staring at the mirror and just punching myself because I hated myself so much. And it was sad. It was sad. I was just living in such an addiction, and I would go to work and I would maybe last an hour before I was, putting vodka into my body. It was dark, and then doing those bad things of driving drunk. It would be 4 o'clock on the way home, because just a lot of dark shit started coming out.
I wonder how many drunk drivers there are during rush hour.
Probably a lot of us.
Because if we both did it, like
Yeah.
we can't be the only ones during
No.
rush hour. Because you think
No.
it's just at night, right?
Yeah.
But alcoholism is not. It doesn't turn on after 5.
I'm
It's on.
I remember my
know?
dad saying one time when he was like, I think you might have a problem. I'm like, you drink wine every night. Shut up.
Don't you point that finger at me?
Don't point it at me, mister. But he was like, what if you're so hungover the next morning, you're getting in your car at 6 o'clock in the morning, like your blood alcohol level is still that high.
Yeah.
You're driving drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Mornings are no joke either.
Yeah. Like you're wrong. You're wrong, Dad.
Yeah. Blow in this thing and I'll
Yeah.
prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
You throw it across the room because just kidding.
But I remember being at work and having conversations with coworkers and thinking, how are you not fucked up right now? How do you get up every single morning without wanting a drink or a drug? How do you go through life not wanting to alter your mind? Because I can't do this life without something.
Yeah. It was all consuming. It was everything. Yeah. All right. So was there any point in time where you started to visually see it slipping, right? There was like what we started to do, what the normal was for us. But was there a moment in time where, like, I noticed there was I'm not able to hold all the pieces together, let's say, it would always be showing up to late super work. It would be, getting into the car accidents at that point, or having a lot of like accidents drunk, falling off of roofs. I remember one time, I said a prayer before we started this episode to see like really what's supposed to be shared, what's supposed to come through, what are the things that really represent to me my progression. And I think it's wild that this one came in just now, but I was wasted, right? I was at my cousin's, right? I was dating this guy at the time who lived in the neighborhood. So they're like, all right, you can go. We are leaving at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever it was. I was like, it's okay. I'm just going for a little bit, And an entire bottle of Jaeger with me and 2 other guys was gone within the hour. I remember sitting on a flower pot, smoking a cigarette, and I fell off the flower pot, and there was a stick landing out of the ground, and it literally stabbed me right in the eye.
Oh, shit.
I remember not being able to open my eye. I remember going on a bicycle at one point and falling. I remember almost fighting this girl. Like, it was just a little blurps of these pieces of my night, And the next morning I wake up and I realize, okay, it's definitely past 8 p.m. Like, I'm fucked, no car, an hour from home. My family already went home from my cousin's last night. I had no money, nothing. I had nothing. And I wake up like this, like one fucking eye.
With your
Like,
eye shut.
what happened to my eye? I can't open it. Like just the funny nights weren't that funny anymore. The breaking apart was happening. The physical stuff was happening. He threw $20 at me, dropped me off at the train station. I ended up getting on the wrong train line. I landed in Babylon. Okay. I did not live in Babylon. I still lived another half hour away from there. And I had like maybe $1.50 in quarters left. You know what I mean? Like I have to call. So I called my best friend at the time. He's like, sorry, honey, I'm in the city. I'm like, oh my God, now I have to call my mom. My mom and my sister come and pick me up. And their face of disgust was just like, you were disgusting that you can't put your life together. And these are my crumbling pieces of like my
Mm.
eye,
Mm.
you know, so hungover, I'm about to throw up. Just like this night where I thought I was just going to go out for an hour to go say hi turned into this entire fiasco, you know, and it was so sad, you know.
Mm.
So that was something that popped up for me where it was like, all right, the unraveling is starting. Trish, do you have a story that pops out where it was like
Yeah,
starting to get obvious?
yeah, like two pops in into my head. I was living out east and I lived by myself, which I loved. I loved living by myself because I can drink the way that I wanted to. I drank like a lady completely.
I was gonna say I love living by myself too, but I'm like I get to meditate whenever I want.
Normalcy.
I get to put up my fairy lights wherever I want. Oh my god!
But I remember I was drinking and I got so shit faced that like I just kind of like tripped over my own 2 feet. And I looked down the next morning, and meanwhile, I'm a spin instructor at this time. And I have to teach a class at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I get up at 5 in the morning and I look, I'm like, what happened to my ankle? It was like huge, bruised. I was like, what am I gonna do? I can't cancel my class right now. So I'm like, just take a shot, wrap it up, and you'll be fine. So it's, 6 o'clock in the morning. I have like a sprained ankle with, drunk and like teaching a spin class.
I was gonna say not a shot of like give it a try.
Oh no, like a shot of vodka, like let's go. Because once you take that shot, you ain't gonna feel shit, you know?
Oh my god, that's so
Yeah.
funny.
Let's
Not
give it a
funny.
shot.
Let's give it a shot. Let's do this thing. Yeah. And I'm like, still to this day, sometimes I'm like, my ankle hurts. I wonder if there was something worse with it.
Yeah, we didn't go to a doctor.
Yeah, no, forget that because, oh, no. Like, what did you do last night? I don't know.
Yeah, you have no answers.
No, I
no.
did not remember anything. Then I remember Steve and I, it was probably a couple of months into our relationship. He's like, hey, do you like want to go upstate? My friends are going and we can go see some waterfalls. We can go zip lining. I'm like, cool. How far is the drive? He's like, it's about 5 hours. I'm like, okay. So I made sure to have like a big water bottle, like one of those Yeti ones. And I just like made sure to fill it up with like a bunch of vodka so I can drink all the way up there without him knowing because I was so smart. I'm sure he smelled that shit, but I was so drunk when I got up there. I don't remember much of the night, but me saying, that's it, I'm leaving, I'm calling an Uber. We're like 5 hours from home in somewhere upset. There's no Ubers coming. Don't know what happened, but I blacked out. We got into this huge fight and I embarrassed him so bad. And I had no words. I didn't remember. Just, I'm looking for an Uber. I'm getting out of here. Poor me. Here.
Oh,
I would have been like, bye.
And he's so normal. He's like you. He does not have a problem. He can drink socially, and I remember when we would be drinking, he would be so impressed that I never threw up. And I thought it was like such a badge of honor. Like, I could drink you under the table. That's what I was proud of.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
Came up with tips and tricks on how not to.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to share them because I don't
No.
encourage or condone it.
No, not anymore.
You're just going to
No.
make it worse for yourself. You might as
Yeah.
well just puke and get
Yeah.
sober if you need.
Yeah.
That was never an option. for
Yeah,
me.
no, let's not progress it. Yeah,
No.
prolong it. All right. Did you have any breaking moments or anything where it sticks out to you where it was like, yo, I have to get my life a little bit more in order? Just as far as bringing in more of, you time and self-care and stuff.
Yeah, I actually realized the direction that my life was headed in. It manifested itself with the problems in relationships. The people I was choosing to be with, that was where it like really came through all my life choices because we started out partying together, me and my ex. So that's what we would do, And then I don't know, it came straight from because I was with him for like a really long time. So it came from the party days straight into that but I started the party days not well because I had all this unhealed childhood crap. So I brought that straight into the relationship of like, I don't need self-respect. You don't have to respect me. You don't have to treat me like, I'm worthy of freaking anything. So it got really bad. And then I stayed with him for so long that I realized during that time of like, why do I feel a type of way when I allow that behavior upon myself? So it took a lot of those moments to put together of like, oh no, I think I deserve better than this. And one story that actually popped up this morning, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, I went camping by myself.
Ooh.
When I told him, I'm like, I think I want to go camping. He's like, all right, bye. Yep. Didn't even ask where I was going. Didn't care about my well-being.
I now know what X this was.
I don't like them.
No,
It rhymes with smish.
no, it rhymes with. I was gonna say rhymes with semen.
Semen?
Demon.
Oh, I was semen. I'm like, okay.
First thing that popped in my head.
I'm thinking of the wrong X.
No name dropping.
Yeah.
But
No, but I know.
absolutely not okay. Even though I had like the most transformative camping trip of my life, it like really got to open my eyes of like, wow, I'm with somebody who really doesn't give a shit about me.
Wow.
Do I want to accept that anymore? No. So over like the next fucking 4 years, I still like
Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly.
this one took forever. But it was like my own healing path of like wanting to see all those uglies.
Right.
One
Why
at
am
a
I here?
time.
Why am I here?
Why am I allowing you to control me? Why am I having anxiety having to go fucking make dinner every night? Screw you, make your own dinner. Absolutely not. Whatever. So it took me, and I fucking hate cooking. So it was like
Sames.
really stressful. But yeah, so it just took me, it came out in relationships of like, where is my self-worth line? What am I willing to accept anymore? And I'm not going to drink it away anymore. And I'm going to face it. And it really took a lot of meditations and a lot of baths, honestly. I took a lot of like Epsom salt baths and I fucking put crystals everywhere. Nowhere inappropriate, but
Crystals in the boobs.
Well, I went somewhere else. She said bad. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, no. So that's how I started to like really see, because the stuff when I put my foot down and I did what I wanted to do, how I was still treated, and I'm like, oh, got it.
Yeah.
So those are like those red flags along the way of I don't want to live like this anymore. I got to stand up for me and do my healing.
I think relationships are definitely always that reflective mirror of where you're at, how you feel about yourself, what it
Yes.
is, because it does show. It's easy to be peaceful when you live by yourself. It's easy to, the less distraction, the less noise, right? And now you're having a distraction of this person who is the closest to you, who is going to bother you in ways that the guy at 7-Eleven never would.
Yeah.
So like this is where you get to really see. Trish, what were your relationships like during your drinking?
I did not have good
wide.
relationships at all. One guy, I dated him for such a long time, and he was just so cruel to me. The constant cheating, the putting down, don't wear your hair down, your face looks fat. I'm not taking you away on vacation because you don't look good in a bikini. And I just, I'm sorry, I'll do better. I'll bake you cookies. Like I would just do anything for this man. I stayed way too long in that relationship, then just went to another abusive relationship. And then it was just a vicious cycle. And the older that I got, I kept getting closer to, I think I might find somebody who's good for me. And then I met Steven and it was like, pff, game over. But
Yeah.
but throughout that time until I met him, no self-worth, no self-love, none of that. I really did hate myself. I was so struggling and depressed that you could shit on me all you want because I felt I deserved it. I really felt I deserved everything in those bad relationships.
Are we talking literal? Do we have to put a
Oh, no, I know.
explicit rating on this
Yeah,
on
no,
this
I didn't.
episode?
No, not this one.
All right. Metaphorically, totally
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Identify, relate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. My relationships across the board were not. They were destructive and toxic.
Mhm.
They were always, my family relationships, it was a constant letdown. I just constantly it was just disappointment, disgust, letdown, sad. It was total shit, And I was the victim. Why can't you see what I feel or what I think? It was always me. Then, romantic relationships, if we would call it that, it wasn't very romantic. It was terrible. Same thing. I remember we were watching TV. It was me, this guy, like, ugh. We're watching TV, right? And I started to say something, and he literally put his hand over my face and told me to shh because Jessica Simpson was on the TV. And I was, what? Are you, like what I would do now versus what I did then? I went inward. I quieted. There was another one. My parents don't know you're over. They're away. We have cameras. I need you to crawl on the perimeter of my house to get to where we're going. And there I am on all fours, crawling like a fucking dog to get to where I needed to go so that I could get more drunk, more high, and feel fucking good. Like, it's disgusting, and it's like a true audacity that I felt that low about myself that those behaviors were okay. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. That's past the whole, like when you're a teenager and you're in love and you let these really shitty guys do shitty things, right? This is another level of disrespect that I just went inward because I was living that world of disrespect, of no anything, not nothing. I was a shell of a human being because I could not stop numbing myself. So I just got more and more numb, which is really kind of sad. But thankfully, it doesn't stop there. It does get better.
Yeah.
It happened to get worse before it got better. But was there any moment I want to touch on to see where you had that realization in your story of, I am definitely an alcoholic. There is definitely a problem. Do you have a moment of realization for it?
The day I got sober. The day I got sober is when I realized I really have a problem here. And it was told to me in the past. I tried stopping, and I always thought I can control it. I'm not that bad. I'm fine. It was that morning when Stephen was about to kick me out of the house. Well, was kicking me out of the house. That's when I realized and then when I went into that room and something made me raise my hand and I said, "Hi, I'm Trisha and I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic." And right then and there, that was the most honest thing I ever said in 40 years because I knew what I was. I was an alcoholic.
It's like you weren't talking to the crowd, you were talking to yourself.
I was talking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well, good
Right?
job, because as
It's
soon
like
as you
heavy.
realized, like, the day of, you went into a room. So that's a great job right there.
Yeah, you sought help,
Yeah.
wherever you could get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, wow.
I had a few like epiphanies along the way.
Yeah.
I remember
same, but-
one, right? You have like, this is a little off, this is a little off.
Mhm.
I distinctly remember the moment I knew I was an alcoholic. I was working at this private airport and I had a real bad night the night before. I ended up, the thing with me when I drank was I didn't know how to stop. And I don't mean drinking, I mean my personality did not read the room. So I was in the car with my friend, she's driving, and I'm wasted and I just want to smoke a cigarette. And she's like, "No, you're not smoking in my car." Now, mind you, she doesn't want me smoking in her car because I burnt her car so many times from my cigarettes. But I don't think that. I think, You let your boyfriend smoke in here. Why can't I smoke in here? And now I'm combative, and now I'm fighting back, and now I'm like screaming in her face and becoming so toxic and unwell and rageful. And again, I'm the victim. I'm justified. You let him do it. Why can't I do it? And she punched me in the fucking face. Punched me right in the
Sorry,
fucking
I'm
face,
laughing.
right? But I pushed her to such a point where she was like, I am going to drive this fucking car into the woods. I saw her break, right? I saw what my behavior was doing and I couldn't stop it, you know? And the next morning I woke up, I'm at the airport, I'm at work. This girl calls me. I'm like trying to do the regular old, my bad, I'm so sorry. And she handed me my ass. Like there was no, it's all right. I know you drank too much. That was it. She saw me at my worst drinking. She's like, that was it. I mean, she was showing me exactly who I was. And I hung up that phone and I literally had a complete breakdown for the first time of holy shit. Like I am an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic. I didn't question it anymore. I didn't wonder about it anymore. And that wasn't even one of my worst nights. But for whatever reason, I had a moment of clarity of you are an alcoholic. This is not normal. It doesn't matter if you're 22 or 23 or a female or all those ideas. If I drank in the morning, if I didn't, none of it mattered. I am an alcoholic. I went outside. This Jamaican man that I worked with, he's like, you don't have to tell me what's going on, but something's definitely going on, and I couldn't even get it out. And I was like, still just like shaken about it, and he gave me advice and he said, you know what, no matter what's going on, you need to start to pray in your life. And it was in that moment,
Wow.
from when I stopped praying after that event happened when I was younger, which is where my alcoholism started. That was the moment that I started to pray. Every morning, driving to the airport, 6 a.m., seeing the sunrise, I started to pray again. And then my breadcrumbs started. Someone passed away at the job. They sent in a therapist. The therapist I started to see, he died in a motorcycle accident. I see this therapist. He's like, your drinking's a problem. Tried to get me to control. He was the one who was like, yo, this is definitely your drinking. And it's amazing how it started with me swearing off any sort of spirituality. I destroyed my life, got to such a dark place, had this moment of realization, and was starting to get better. And it was because I was letting spirituality in. And I didn't get sober for a little bit. My story goes on. We'll go into that later. But it was this knowing moment of there is something absolutely wrong here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually almost didn't even piece that all together till just now.
So you
I
love
knew
that?
those events have happened, but I never realized how much they mirrored.
Yeah, you've never said
Each
it that
other.
way before.
Yeah, they
That was-
literally mirrored each other from my beginning and my end, as far as like
Yeah.
knowing, Yeah.
Wow. The way you just like put that together kind of reminded me of like that moment when I realized that the relationship that I was in, the toxic not looking,
Mm.
like clicked. I was in the bath and then I was praying to like divine feminine because I needed more like self-compassion and love in my life. So that's what I started praying for and more of. And then all of a sudden in the middle of the bath, it was like the behavior was the behaviors that I was accepting was reflected to me. Like I saw it from an outside perspective of like, how do I feel? What is that making me feel like? And then I got a glimpse of what it looks like from the opposite side of like what unconditional love is from source and from other humans. And I was like, I saw it in that moment of, oh my God, I'm accepting so much lower than what I deserve. And it was from that one bath time for me that I was like, I'm done here. Yeah, it was like a single moment of like, I'm done.
Yep, the moment of clarity that comes in where everything changes.
And it was because I was praying. I let more of that willingness to see in. And then it's like, do you want to see? Because I'm going to show you. And it's like, I saw it. I was like, oh, damn it. All right. Let
the
me change my
guidance-
entire life.
Yep. The guidance never leaves us somewhere bad.
No, because if after that, when I listened after that, my life did turn upside down, but in a much better way. It was, it's those moments. You got to be willing. Crazy. Yeah.
We got deep.
Yeah, I'm glad we got that out though.
Yeah.
Which will lead us into next week. All right. So until next time, I'm so grateful you guys joined us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.